That's Nick.
And that's Joseph. And today we're here to talk about The Exorcism, the sophomore film directed by Joshua John Miller, son of Jason Miller, which is premiering on June 21st, 2024, courtesy of Vertical Entertainment.
The director's first film?
1999 directed a movie called The Mao Game, which I believe never got distribution. Kirstie Alley is in it. He might be better known, of course, as the son of Jason Miller and half-brother of Jason Patrick, but was a child actor. He was in Catherine Bigelow's Near Dark, as well as River's Edge, both excellent films. He also co-wrote The Final Girls in 2015 with M.A. Fortin, who co-wrote this film as well.
What is The Exorcism about? A troubled actor begins to exhibit a disruptive behavior while shooting a horror film. His estranged daughter wonders if he's slipping back into his past addictions or if there's something more sinister at play. What's your pull quote?
Had The Exorcism remained rooted in psychological ambiguities, this could have been an uncomfortably unsettling film about familial trauma exacerbated by the glare of celebrity. But Miller unfortunately falls into derivative territory while attempting to satisfy all conceivable expectations.
Mine, more interesting than I expected it to be. The Exorcism is also more silly than I wanted. So the director is the son of
Jason Miller,
who is
Father Karras
in the 1973 film The Exorcist.
William Friedkin's, yes.
So this movie is about the Exorcist is being remade.
This filming title is The Georgetown Project.
The Georgetown Project. So Russell Crowe plays an actor who is kind of washed up and on the rebound. He was dealing with what appears to be a severe drug and alcohol problem. And this role is really important to him. And the only reason he got the opportunity is because the actor who was originally cast died on set mysteriously, not unlike all the claims people make about The Exorcist filming. So he gets the role, and at the same time, his teenage daughter returns home because she's been kicked out of school.
Played by Ryan Simpkins, the sibling of Ty.
She looks just like her brother. But anyway, things start to go south, like weird things start happening, and everything culminates in your standard possession film where there's a showdown between the possessed and the people trying to get the demon out of his ass. And in this instance, David Hyde Pierce plays a consultant to the film. He is not only a priest, but a psychologist. So at the end, when Russell Crowe's character is fully possessed, David Hyde Pierce, along with Russell Crowe's daughter, and her little girlfriend, Chloe Bailey, who is also an actor in the movie.
Yeah, and like the Linda Blair role.
She's playing the Linda Blair character, yeah.
Reagan.
David Hyde Pierce tells the demon, well, you can take my body. The demon does. And then Russell Crowe kills David Hyde Pierce. Right?
Yeah.
He just stabs him in the head with a crucifix, and then his body ignites into flames. The end.
I think he's trying to exorcise the demon. It gets kind of interesting in a meta way if you really... I don't think the end of this film is interesting at all, but there are some meta things in there.
Sure, we can talk about it. And so that's the end. But then we flash forward a period of time. We're not told how long. Based on the daughter's hair, at least a year has passed. And we see that Russell Crowe is now in confession, telling the priest that his relationship with his daughter's never been better. And then that's the end.
And he's regained his faith.
Right. Well, let's start there. I'm a little confused because in the opening of the film, Russell Crowe's in confession.
It's unclear because you don't see who, if anyone, he's talking to. You're wondering if he's preparing for the role.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah.
But yeah, so by the end, after all of this, now he believes. Where to begin? Go ahead.
I think that it initially it's a lot more interesting than I thought it would be because the script and the two lead performances, I think, help establish an empathy for this troubled father and daughter. And I think we're coaxed into wanting them to be okay.
So I watched the trailer, and well, we saw the trailer at another screening, and I read the premise. So I was hoping, and based on the first 20 minutes, I was optimistic that this would be more psychological and that the line was blurred on whether or not what this character is experiencing is an actual possession or the result of a drug or alcohol addiction. And so in the beginning, it's very obvious from the trailer that he's probably possessed, and in fact he is. So that's when things start to get silly.
Yeah.
But there are enough WTF moments that I was amused, but probably not in the way that's intended.
Yeah, sure. I do think Adam Goldberg, who was in A Beautiful Mind with Russell Crowe, is riding him hard, which I found.
Which is amusing, but it also felt accurate. Like, I
Yeah.
can believe that this director is, obviously more concerned about getting his film done than the health and well-being of his actors. But yeah, he is riding him hard. Also, David Hyde Pierce, who I like, he is in a different movie. I don't know what he was doing. He feels like he's in a comedy.
He's cutesy in a way that I think is trying to establish some levity early on, but when things have to get nitty gritty, then it really doesn't work.
Just going through my notes, I was a little frustrated because we get a sense of who the Russell Crowe character is, that he's like a notable actor who has kind of gone to seed and didn't help that fact by having a drug and alcohol problem, went to rehab, is estranged from his daughter because she's mad at him for being an addict and ruining their lives. But also her mom, Russell Crowe's wife, she died from cancer. So we get a very clear picture of who this man is. But I was frustrated because we also get several flashbacks to him as a child. The actor of whom playing him as a child reminded me of that kid from Stranger Things. But we're told by the daughter, like, she's talking to another character saying like, oh, my mom told me that something bad happened to my dad when he was younger. And so David Hyde Pierce is saying like, well, maybe that trauma is what's informing his behavior now. But I was very unclear of what that was. It's not until the very end when the demon's being battled that we get like a flashback. And I assumed by what we were seeing that maybe that trauma is related to him being molested as an altar boy.
Yes, that is the conclusion. It's still.
But don't you feel like it should have been better spelled out?
Yeah, it's still like.
For how many times they allude to it?
I think it's trying to be graceful in its depiction of molestation. But
Sure.
I think that transgressions are being had with this child by this priest.
So I do think it's kind of clever that this film, of course it's not saying it's like making a remake of The Exorcist, but the fact that it's called the Georgetown Project, and then all the happenings within the film echo the Exorcist film we know. But
because they're dancing around that, it's like we're dancing around all these things, so I just wish that it would have tried to be concrete about at least something. And not that I think, who is this demon?
Well, that was what I was getting to. Yeah, so is the demon...
Is it Pazuzu?
Is the demon haunting this film, the fake demon, or I guess Pazuzu is a real thing people think is real. But is the demon haunting this film set the same demon in the movie The Exorcist? Because that shit doesn't make any sense.
Because where's this demon meant for all these prequels and sequels, unless that's how you can explain what happened to Paul Schrader and David Gordon Green. But
wow, and then it's like, why is the demon... So the demon doesn't want another Exorcist remake? Or is that why it's... Which is kind of... Is that what you were talking about being meta? Because I think that's kind of ironic in a funny way.
Well, it's being meta, but also David Hyde Pierce using the line that Jason Miller says in The Exorcist, "Take
sure.
me," before Jason Miller tumbles down the stairs. And then it's up to Russell Crowe as Anthony Miller in this film to combat the demon inside David Hyde Pierce by using the script of this from this movie.
Right.
Along with the two young women to shout at the demon.
I like the production design's interesting because the film takes place on the set of the film. So there's a big sound stage with a replica of the house. And so it feels like a lot of work was put into it.
Yeah. The Simon Duggan, who just did Furiosa for George Miller and also Disenchanted recently. I think that the technical aspects of it are quite nice. I also like the score from Danny Bensi and Sander Jurians, who work a lot and have done a lot of pretty good film scores. So all of those things feel better than expected, especially if you've seen Russell Crowe in The Pope's Exorcist, which was terrible.
I thought Russell Crowe was good in this, and early on when he goes to the audition for this role, I thought that was a very good scene because he's having trouble because he's out of form, and he's explaining like, well, I've had some issues, like giving excuses, and the director goes, well, tell me about that. And I thought it was very well done because the director seems so fake because he's just trying to extract something from this guy. And so Russell Crowe's basically, his character is opening up about what's been going on, and the director's filming him. And I thought that felt appropriately like manipulative.
It did, and it feels very human too. Like and that is what something like Pope's Exorcist wouldn't allow Crowe to do. But I think he is a fine actor, and he does a good job with this. And I like his dynamic with Ryan Simpkins, who you come to feel great empathy for because she's a PA on this film set that her father's unraveling on.
So she's witnessing people talking shit about her dad.
And you feel for her.
When Russell Crowe's character first meets David Hyde Pierce, who's in his priest drag with the collar, David Hyde Pierce goes, my eyes are up here. So he's very cute in this movie. It just felt odd with the tone of the story.
I like Chloe Bailey. I wish they would, and who has kind of a developing romance with Lee, Simpkins' character. I wish that she had a little more to do.
Yeah, because I enjoyed her on screen. Sam Worthington is in the film, and I feel like he doesn't have much to do until the end.
What's new?
Yeah, but he's playing second fiddle to Russell Crowe's character.
Yeah, like the Max von Sydow, Jason Miller. Yeah.
But when Russell Crowe starts to get real, which we'll get to, but there's a scene where it's clear something's wrong with him, and the director says, we have to recast this role. Talking to Sam Worthington, I think you should be it. And Sam's like, I can't do that to him. He's like my idol. He's the reason I started acting. In fact, early on when Russell Crowe gets the role, they throw up a party. And Sam Worthington is there, and he tells Russell Crowe, when I was a kid, I found one of your movies in the discount bin. And that's what inspired me to be an actor, which I thought that scene was well done.
There are details you can leave out when you meet people. Also in that party scene, Samantha Mathis in a small role. She used to be quite a notable actor. Congratulating Russell Crowe at that party.
But I lost my train of thought. Anyway, the first half of the film is broken up into like how far along they are in the shoot of the film. So we get like day 1, day 2, then we jump to day 15, day 18. But then, I know what I was going to say. After day 18, we see that Sam Worthington, he decides to take Russell Crowe's part. And so he goes and puts on the new outfit, and he's practicing his lines in the mirror. And then all of a sudden, Russell Crowe busts through the mirror and like kills Sam Worthington by like stabbing him in the eye. Which was an odd scene because at that same moment, Russell Crowe's supposed to be at home locked in his bedroom. And then after the killing, he's in his bedroom. So I wasn't sure if like the demon had transported to the...
Yeah, and this is where the film falls off. It becomes apparent that something terrible has happened to Anthony Miller when he bends over backwards and terrifies everyone on set.
Which is what's in the trailer.
Yes,
yeah.
And that is where he's replaced by Sam Worthington. But that's also where the film really falls off, and it's kind of like, I guess we're just going down the same old path that we always go down.
Yeah, because then the girls, the daughter and Chloe Bailey, her new little girlfriend, and now that Chloe Bailey's out of a job because production of the film has stopped after Sam Worthington dies, they go to see David Hyde Pierce, and he's sort of hypothesizing what could be going on. There's a moment when Russell Crowe is having like what appears to be a breakdown, and his daughter catches him like naked in the basement peeing, and he's mumbling something, and she records it on her phone, and she plays it back to David Hyde Pierce, who can of course speak Latin, and he translates it in a way that is so comical.
Well, he's like, it's roughly saying all these very clear things.
Yeah, but
it just also feels very small. Like the film opens with an actor dying, and there's already as Chloe Bailey tries to, her name's, is it Blake Holloway, tries to explain the impetus of the demon is because she has sage being burnt over her. All of these movies are cursed because of things that happened on the set of The Exorcist, The Omen, and Poltergeist, as if this is just to be expected. But yeah, that is something in the mythos that the press would pick up on, especially if the actor is murdered on this devil worshipping movie, right? And then production is shut down. It just feels like such a small contained world when there would be outside party. This would be making major headlines.
When we first meet Chloe's character, she's getting saged because she's like, you know what happened on the set of the movie we're remaking. And then we find out that the daughter was kicked out of school because she says she was protesting, but really she dumped a can of paint on the principal's Mercedes-Benz because he fired the guidance counselor for being a lesbian. That felt a little heavy-handed, but I did enjoy this, like the side plot of the daughter and Chloe. Okay, so then day 2 of the shoot, Russell Crowe's having a hard time. The director's kind of yelling at him, like, you begged me for this role and now you're not really showing up. And then a lighting rig thing almost kills the director, like it falls. And then we see that Russell Crowe's looking at his script and like there are all these evil scribbles all over the script.
And stickers.
Who wrote that?
Lots of stickers. Yeah, it's just moments like that seem real silly. And, Kevin Williamson produced this. I considering the personal connection the director has to it, I was hoping it would steer more into this kind of, stay in the psychological territory, make it something like along the lines of Cassavetes' Opening Night. I think it could have been really fascinating to keep it very ambiguous about the possession.
Yeah, and the happenings of the tone of the happenings bounces back and forth a lot because I thought a pretty sad scene that you already kind of mentioned is the daughter's a PA and she's in one of the screening rooms where the director is viewing like the dailies, I guess. And they're just talking shit about Russell Crowe. Like, he looks like hell. He's probably back on that stuff. And this poor girl has to, witness this. And then we get her going to talk to David Hyde Pierce afterwards in that screening room. And she's telling him, like this is the first time she's really talked to this man. And she just tells him, I don't know what I believe anymore. I thought that was weird that a teenager who's all, angsty and, over her dad would just open up so quickly to this random priest who looks like a little twerp. Then she goes home and sees that her dad's acting up because he's covered in blood and his hands are all messed up. And then he's talking in his possessed voice. And I thought that was a creepy scene because she's arguing with him, if you're back on drugs, I'm leaving. I can't deal with this. And he goes, what are you going to do? You don't have a school. You don't have a mother. All you have is me. That poor girl. I know she was traumatized.
That is an interesting moment because she calls him Tony, and earlier in the film he says, my name's not Tony, it's Dad. And at this point in the film he says, my name's not Tony, and lets it hang.
Yeah.
Tony's not home anymore, Mrs. Torrance.
So a part of the set is called the cold room, and that's where they film the part of The Exorcist where Linda Blair is possessed in the bed with the head spinning and the split pea soup. So we see the day that they're shooting Chloe Bailey in that moment. And I thought she looked like the Black Devil doll from hell. I don't know why they made her look like that.
That's an actual movie.
I know it is. But, so, I mean, it was funny to me.
Well, she's supposed to look possessed.
Then speaking to that scene, how Linda Blair's character is saying all these, really explicit, vulgar things to the priest. Then we get back at Russell's house. Chloe and his daughter are there, and they exchange a moment where they're kind of making out in bed. And then the daughter comes out and sees her dad. And the dad says, she'll never eat your vagina. He used a different word. She'll never eat your vagina like I will. And then knocks her across the room and jumps out the window. That scene was crazy.
Well, before he licks her face, I'm like, well, this is a trauma that'll be very hard to get over for everyone.
That was a WTF moment.
Yeah. But then it's just what happened after that? Where did he go? Did he fly away? It's just I don't know if they had to cut some things out because of how this cut had to run, who this had to satisfy.
Yeah, some parts are a little nonsensical, big leaps. Literally, in this case, a big leap. He jumps out the window, but it's or even the scene in the trailer where he contorts backwards is well, that, I don't know that the body would survive that, but I mean, it's also fantasy. Well, some people think this is real, but
you just we skip to Adam Goldberg saying, I got to replace this guy to finish this movie. It's but something really
you just witnessed this man bend his body in half and then bang his head against a table. Yeah, it just feels very big leaps. Then When David Hyde, all these possession movies where someone says like, "Take me, demon." Mm-hmm. Again, I need to make an announcement that if any one of y'all gets possessed and thinks that I'm gonna say like, "Take me,"
Oh yeah, never. No, not even
y'all
do that.
can keep that.
No, figure out a different way. Put you in a little box over here.
So in the end, when Russell, like the final showdown where he's fully possessed and David Hyde Pierce and the two girls are trying to stop it, and he exchanges spirit bodies or whatever, Russell Crowe starts reciting lines from the script.
Which are names of saints.
And which reminded me of the remix to Beyonce's, what's the song from Renaissance, the first song? With
You
Madonna.
Won't Break My Soul?
Break My Soul, where she's talking about House of Balenciaga.
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm.
House of Mizrahi. That's kind of what he was doing. But I thought this is kind of ridiculous that this demon from a movie is being like diminished by words from a script from another movie.
They're words from a script. They're just names.
But after it's all said and done and Russell Crowe kills David Hyde Pierce, and his body is actively on fire, he immediately turns to his daughter and says, "I love you. I need you to know that." Okay.
I have questions about that. He stabs David Hyde Pierce with a cross in the head, and then
through the mandibule.
Then that man starts on fire. Like, what is the autopsy? What is the crime scene going to be? And what are we going to say? We didn't start the fire? Like, what?
Well, yeah. What's the cause of death? Like a demon
he was stabbed,
inferno, but
like the skull will have that wound in it. Like
the ending also threw me off because time has passed, and we see throughout the film the daughter has like a pixie, like a blonde pixie cut, but at the end, after all said and done, and we flash forward a period of time,
she's turned into Daria.
She has hair like Daria, like it's shoulder length, like brunette hair, and she's smoking a cigarette on the beach, forwarding like the third draft of her script for her dad to read, and then we see her driving down what looks like Sunset Boulevard in like a classic convertible. And I just thought, this girl's a teenager. How does she look like a washed up 30-year-old? Like, it just looks so crazy to me. How much time passed?
Yes, it's, again, I don't know if they're, it reeks of like tinkering, I think.
I think that if I paid to see this in a theater, I would be amused. I think people who like possession movies will probably be amused. What would you give?
I've seen a lot worse, but upon closer inspection, there's a lot that doesn't work, and I think it's disappointing because you could see what could have been, but two for me.
I would give this film 2.5 out of 5. Join us on Patreon and listen to our podcast. Bye.